Welcome to Entropia Universe. You may be wondering, what is this game? Entropia Universe is an online virtual world and game where players can explore, socialize, and earn real money. It's unique because it uses a real cash economy, meaning the in-game currency, PEED, can be exchanged for real-world money. Players can hunt, mine, craft, trade, and build businesses within the game. Think of it as a mix between a role-playing game and a virtual world where your activities can have real financial value. When you first start, you are given a short tutorial, and then you are thrown into the world and are free to explore. You can do many activities such as scanning monsters. By doing so, you gain skills. Also, almost every activity you do in the game costs money, but there are also free-to-play options. What most new players should do is explore the world, get familiar with their surroundings, and if a monster chases you, it's okay if it kills you. You also gain skills, and well, dying is free. Also, there is an online forum that players post information. Doing the proper research is also crucial to your success in the game. You know what they say, knowledge is power. Now, if you want to become a hunter and kill monsters for their loot, you're going to need PED. You can deposit money in the game to purchase your first weapon, some ammo, and a healing tool from the trade terminal, also known as TT terminal. There is a free-to-play option, but we will touch on that subject a bit further down the video. Once you have your gear ready, you can venture into the world. It is recommended to stick to low-level mobs at first. In this instance, we are at an event area where all players can team up to kill mobs, but normally you have to create a team to be able to loot mobs in a team. Entropia Universe offers a wide range of mobs from giant scorpions, killer robots, weird like alien mobs too, and even prehistoric dinosaurs. And each mob has a chance of dropping a bigger than normal amount of loot called a global or Hall of Fame loot, which are considered big payouts in simple terms. Now, the tricky part is each mob does different types of damages, so always make sure to do your research to see which armor suits you best for the situation. There is a large variety to choose from, and oh, before I forget, there are female and male sets for each, so make sure you buy for the right gender. And then come the weapons. There are different types of weapons, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. They vary, from rifles to swords and even Mind Force, which is considered like magic. It's important to have the proper DPS to kill the mobs, especially the higher level ones. Each weapon also requires a specific level in that weapon class to be able to use it at its highest potential. If you try using a weapon outside of your level, you can still use it, but odds are you will be losing money for not having the right level, and we don't recommend that, especially in an RCE game. Next up is transportation. Yes, that's right, they have vehicles, so you don't have to walk everywhere or use teleporters at certain locations, or even the Mind Force teleportation chip all the time. Just make sure you have refined oil to fill up your vehicle. And yes, it's just like real life. You have to fill up the gas tank here. On the bright side, oil is not as expensive like in the real world. They have air vehicles too. That way you don't get chased by mobs on land. My personal favorite is the Sky Ripper. This bad boy goes really fast, which is helpful especially when I'm running behind schedule. Now, if hunting does not interest you, there is also mining. Mining essentially is using a mining tool called a finder to drop a probe on the ground to look for ores and end matter, which then you need an excavator tool to drill out. Other players will pay for these kind of resources as they are needed for crafting and other things. And just like weapons, each finder and excavator tool requires levels to be able to use them properly. So the ones you buy from the TT terminal are recommended when you are starting the game. Now we can go sell some items at the auction house. Each planet has their own individual auction house. So depending on your location, some items sell quicker or slower. Now, one important topic to talk about is markup. This is a value that players will pay a premium for items you have collected. So for instance, we are selling these output amplifier components. First, we check the markup people are offering. Then we determine at what percent we want to offer. Since we want to sell right away, we will put the order for under the markup value. So our 52 ped worth of loot can be sold for 73, which means the difference is the markup value. One tip that makes a difference is know your items. Some items are more in demand on certain times of the year, so if you know when to buy or to sell, you will thrive in this auction house market. Next up is crafting. Now let's say you do not want to sell your loot yet and figured out how to use that loot to craft higher markup items. Well, you can craft them using a blueprint. Most blueprints can be purchased from other players, but it takes knowledge and skill to craft good items. For example, we are crafting accuracy enhancers for weapons. These have good markup when sold, but you need to do the numbers to figure out how profitable it can be. Some players only dedicate themselves to crafting as it is a profession that requires extensive number crunching and also knowing when to buy and sell certain items and materials. So if you are an accountant, maybe this is for you. And now to the good stuff, the PvP aspect of the game. So PvP on land is different than space. There is a red lootable area. There you can kill players to take their loot that they have. But in order to enter, they need to purchase a toxic shot and administer it to themselves before entering. This is so new players or those who have no idea what the red zone is do not get looted by accident. In other words, those who enter the red zone are aware of the risks. Now in the red zone, you can also hunt mobs and mine for rare ores and end matters only native to the red zone. But keep in mind, you never know when you might meet another player. They tend to not be friendly. Then we have the regular PvP. These are usually orange zones and you can kill players, but you can't loot them. For instance, at the oil rig on planet Calypso, we are killing players to take control of it and collect oil. We usually take out the players that pose a threat to us. The others we have built a friendly relationship, which can be beneficial and go a long way in this game. For instance, here we managed to collect oil due to being on good terms with one of the players. Since we just saved them from an Atrox and didn't kill them also. And who says I can't be a nice guy sometimes? And then we have land grabs. Land grabs are group-based PvP. Players form societies, basically clans, and they fight for control of a land area, where the winning side can collect the taxes on that area for a month based on the revenue produced from players who hunt on the areas each month. Now this activity is usually for high-level players with the best gear and tactics. But these events can get expensive since every time a weapon hits a player, money is spent and also their armor decays. As of right now, there is not any reward for the money that gets spent, besides the taxes for the winning side. And now for the free-to-play aspect. One of the few activities that does require money is sweating. Now sweating is basically using a sweat tool to gather sweat from mobs and selling that sweat to other players. Also, you can socialize and share information with other players. They may give you tips and tricks on how to sweat faster or even other ped-making secrets. And if after doing all these activities you get bored, why not visit another planet? Yes, that is correct. There are other planets besides Calypso. There is a total of 6 planets, 2 moons, an asteroid, and a crystal palace. Just get a quad ship with a thruster and some oil and head out into space. But remember, we talked about lootable in space. Well, in space, the planet's orbit is safe and you can still get killed but not looted. Once you leave the orbit, you enter the lootable zone, where pirates are waiting to loot you. So make sure you take a sneaky route, or you can pay for a warp ship. What is a warp ship, you ask? It's a player-owned space vessel. Imagine Star Wars, where they have those motherships. These ships can teleport you to any point in the universe and are a good way to avoid pirates. Yes, they cost money, but your loot safety is important. And once you arrive to the next planet, who knows what mobs they have or cool world it is. Each planet is unique with a different theme as well as unique items and mobs. So I doubt you will run out of adventures anytime soon. And that is the end of this introduction to Entropia Universe. Maybe this game is what you have been looking for, a chance to explore and possibly make some money out of the game. Remember, research, have a strategy, and prepare yourself for a game where using your brain can be the difference between winning and losing. And that is all for this video. I hope to see you in game, and may your adventure as a future Entropian be full of surprises and good fortune. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Bambideth signing off.